Day 6. A New Hope. We have acted very wickedly toward you. We have not obeyed the commands, decrees, and laws you gave. Nehemiah 1:7. Money is better than poverty, if only for financial reasons. Woody Allen. God is not proud. He will have us, even though we have shown that we prefer everything else to Him. C.S. Lewis. Who in this century will forget the original Star Wars movie entitled The New Hope, where a young Luke Skywalker was destined to save the galaxy from the evil dark side led by the ruthless Darth Vader? It was the classic good against evil theme, and we all had to wait 14 years to find out which side would win in this cosmic action adventure movie. But Nehemiah faced a real threat that wasn't storyboarded by genius writers, directors, and special effects experts. He was Esther's male counterpart 30 years later, to save the Jews again, as well as the city this time. Nehemiah tapped into the source of hope for him and his people. He knew this was the time and place he had been born for, his divine destiny. He was to be used in a powerful way to bring his people healing, no matter how in debt, scattered in pain, or hopeless they were. He was chosen for this moment. You can say with certainty that Nehemiah was raised to a royal position for such a time as this. God is the source of all hope. He is not a source of all hope. Most people live a lifetime without truly understanding the difference. We place our hope in money, or what money might buy, or people, or love, or our own strength, or 1,000 other things. But what if there was a certain center of hope? A source of all hope, once tapped into, produced complete joy and peace. What if that were possible? What would you give for that type of confidence? What would you risk for a life that could possess this total satisfaction? Was Thoreau's statement in the opening chapter of Walden correct when he said, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation"? When we view God as an option of hope, instead of the only source of hope, our lives will resound the real truth in Thoreau's words written over 150 years ago. The question is not, is there hope or is there a God? Rather, when will we acknowledge the God of the universe who intimately knows us and wants us to have a life that is full of joy? We do not want to arrive at the end of our lives admitting that what we pursued and what we invested in reduced us to a mass of men leading lives of quiet, or as in our society, very vocal desperation. As we saw with great transparency in the life of Nehemiah in day 1, we must surrender to the God who made us and who bought us with his blood sacrifice on the cross nearly 2,000 years ago. I was released from jail, but the trial was pending. I did not know what the future held, nor did I have the foggiest idea that I would have to leave law school, take a felony conviction to avoid jail time, pay back the money I stole plus tens of thousands of dollars I stupidly borrowed from credit cards, personal loans, and student loans, get dumped by my girl, and even get denied employment at Pizza Hut as a delivery boy. The great hope I had when I was released on bail crashed and burned when faced with the reality of my future. The kid who used to joke and brag, "My future looks so bright, I have to wear shades," only a few months later was living in his car under the I-95 exit ramp, courtesy of the assistant manager of the hotel parking concession at the Hyatt Regency. Hopeless once again. Just like Peter, when he stepped out of the boat, the waves had become my focus and not the savior. I was fortunate to get a job as a valet parker at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Miami, but I did not have one part of the uniform that was necessary to keep the job. Black sneakers. Yes, black sneakers. To add insult to injury, the only shoes on the market that were approved by the hotel were all black Reeboks, which retailed for $50. That might as well have been $1 million to a kid who was working for food. I did not give up, though. I went into a McCrory's drugstore and purchased a pair of ladies' garden shoes at a cost of $5.99. There were no shoes for someone like me in the price range. I didn't care. My pride had been shattered, and now my basic needs were more important. The shoes were black with a white band around the outside. The supervisor at the Valley parking facility told me I had to go home because my uniform was not adequate, since my shoes were not all black. I was hungry and devastated, but I was very aware that my day job, which provided for the minimum payments on most of my debts, was within walking distance. I carried a black magic marker and colored the sides of both shoes. I kept the marker with me as I ran because the color wore off with nearly every stride. I always waited patiently on the ramp to be in position for the next car that drove up to the posh hotel. The gleaming chrome and multiple baked enamel sports cars and luxury sedans made their way up, and the local celebrities exited their vehicles. My turn came, and the car was a new Jaguar. A Jaguar. The man who eased out was TV news anchorman and local celebrity Dwight Lauderdale. I was pleased to be his driver. With a quick look and a nod, I jumped into the Jag and looked for the key. This was my first time in such a luxury car, even though I had lived a lie for nearly a year before an anonymous tip opened up the biggest embezzlement conspiracy in the area's law enforcement history. I found the key and turned on the Wildcat. Unfortunately for me, the car was already running. I was horrified when the engine squealed as if on the verge of total combustion. If looks could kill, I would not have survived. All I could do was put the car in drive before I was physically removed from the injured kitty. I was hopeless once again. I was broke, wearing ladies' garden shoes, hungry, my financial dreams dead and gone. And now I couldn't even operate a car. I was at the bottom. I was bankrupt. And the hope that I had felt in jail was fleeing quickly. I turned on the radio looking for God. I found a Christian radio station in Miami and heard the voice of Larry Burkett. He was talking about how God owned it all and how we are stewards or managers of what He has entrusted to us. He said that most of us have been poor managers and deserve the punishment of our actions, but there's hope and forgiveness. He then described how great and loving, long-suffering and rich our God is, and that He cannot wait to pick us up and dust us off and show us that we can trust in Him. I realized for the first time that I was embezzling God's possessions too. I should have been fired, but for His incredible love, I lived to see another day and had yet another chance. I asked God to forgive the way I had mismanaged and mishandled His treasury, and to give me another chance to show Him I could be trusted. From that night, my spending habits and my heart were changed forever. By radically altering my lifestyle over the next 4 years, I was able to pay back the money I stole, incur no more debt, and start using money God's way. I eventually became a CPA and a financial counselor, even working with Larry Burkett's Christian Financial Concepts, now Crown Financial Ministries. No matter where you are right now, if no one will give you a chance to be trusted, God will. He trusted me, and my life changed as a testimony to His unfailing grace.